We have 4 speakers. They have been asked to speak for 10 minutes each. There'll be discussion. There'll be your questions. And to begin with, let me introduce Dr. Jo Cribb, Deputy Children's Commissioner. She's worked in a number of social, community and central agency roles. She wrote a book about how to improve the relationship between government agencies and not-for-profit service providers. And she led the preparation of the government's Green Paper on vulnerable children. Please welcome Dr. Cribb.
Madam Chair, fellow panellists, members of Parliament, guests, business leaders and friends who I've made come tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight as we discuss and debate the issue of the business sector and the wellbeing of children. Thank you to EveryChild Counts and Business New Zealand for taking the initiative to create the space for this discussion. I'm going to argue tonight that New Zealand businesses should not only care about the wellbeing of children, but should stand up and take a leadership role in driving what happens for our children. I'm going to argue that the success and fate of New Zealand business is so intertwined with the success and fate of New Zealand children. Given this, New Zealand business should care about how well New Zealand children are doing. And by international standards, it's not that great. New Zealand business should care about the quality of the investment we make in children and how effective it is. And at present, our investment in children is not as effective as it could be. And given this, business should step up into a leadership role and advocate for children. And I'll talk about what this might look like. But let's take a moment and ground ourselves in the reality of too many of New Zealand's children. There's some startling statistics. As a New Zealand child, you are more likely to be sexually abused than be left-handed. As a New Zealand child, you are more likely to be physically abused than have red hair. Westpac Stadium, just down the road, could be filled more than 6 times over with the children experiencing poverty in New Zealand today. And some of our children are experiencing rates of disease closer to those in developing countries. Poverty is a way of life for 1 in 5 of our children, and for Māori and Pacifica kids, the rate is even higher. 51% of Pacifica children and 39% of Māori children experience high levels of deprivation due to low family income. Behind those dreadful statistics are children living the day-to-day reality of poverty. We hear reports in our office of children having saveloy soup for tea. For those of you unfamiliar with this delicacy, this soup is made from the leftover water when you've cooked the saveloys from last night. We hear about newborn babies living in houses dripping with dampness, and of children going to school with no lunch, day after day. So before I talk about how the success and fate of New Zealand business is intertwined with the success and fate of New Zealand children, I want to appeal to the human side of business. Business leaders are parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, neighbours, and members of communities. I appeal to business to think about their responsibilities to the children here and now. Businesses should care about kids not just because they're the future workforce or because they're a consumer market, but because it is right to care about kids who are missing out and doing badly right now. But I'm realistic. I know many business owners are working hard just to keep afloat and to provide for their families. So as well as appealing to their altruism, I want to outline why business needs to take a leadership role in advocating for our children. Let's start with the obvious point. Children are our future workers. Our future national productivity and business profitability depends on the skills, education and motivation of our children. So businesses should be concerned that some of our children are not doing very well. Let's give this issue a face. Let's talk about Jenny. Businesses should be worried that Jenny is going to school with no breakfast, that she struggles to concentrate because she's hungry, that she stops being interested in school because she can't keep up, that she leaves school without a qualification, that she drifts in and out of the workforce but struggles to find work because she can't read, and she's constantly sick as an adult because she lived in a damp house when she was a child. There are too many Jennies in New Zealand. 1/5 of our future workforce is currently growing up in poverty. We have a long tail of underachievement, which means that most of our children are doing well or doing okay, but there are many children who are simply failing, and our Māori and Pacifica students in particular. New Zealand business, this is what is happening to a substantial proportion of your future workers and consumers. You should take notice. You should take notice because educational achievement, the level of literacy of our children, directly affects productivity, workers' ability to be promoted, earning capacity, and the ability to adapt to new and changing technology. An estimated 40% of adults in the New Zealand workforce do not have the literacy skills to perform their tasks effectively. With a workforce of 2.2 million, that's about 880,000 workers. While smart businesses like Hansel's provide literacy training to their workers and reap substantial benefits for doing so in terms of reduced workplace accidents, increased gross profit margins, improved product quality, and more motivated workers, the cost of such training is substantial. A UK study estimated that the cost to the public of a child failing to learn to read at primary school is about at least $100,000 each by the age of 37. So getting it wrong for children not only costs in terms of productivity, but there are direct tax and public costs that businesses are expected to contribute to. What happens to our children in their school years matters to business. And whether we like it or not, today and now, children make a substantial contribution to the workforce. Small Business New Zealand would be lost without the over 140,000 children employed annually. Children are also important consumers now and will be in the future. Again, whether we like it or not, the children market, especially food, clothes, toys and computer products, is large and substantial. My 6-year-old daughter can recite with much clarity what product is new, what needs to be purchased, from where and how much, and when are we going, mummy? She's immersed in a cloud of pink, sparkly, princess-based advertising focused directly and effectively on her. But there's a dark side to this pink, sparkly princess Saturday morning TV advertising. Unhealthy food marketed to children, inappropriate toys, unrealistic pressure to purchase, and young minds unduly influenced. Again, the fate of children and business are intertwined. Children are New Zealand's current and future workers. They are current and future consumers. And so it matters to business that children are doing well, that they're well educated and are growing up healthy. So how well are we doing in investing in our children and working to address the long tail of disadvantage? Well, not as well as we could do. While thousands of dedicated professionals and volunteers work tirelessly with our children, as a nation, we spend less than the OECD average on young children and much, much less on older children. Much of that spending in areas like early childhood education and child health doesn't get to the most disadvantaged. Many of our programs and services for vulnerable children focus on fixing the issues, not preventing them. Services are not always well coordinated, contracts for services are not well specified or managed. And for most of our programs and services, we simply do not know if they make a difference or not. New Zealand business needs to care that the investment that's being made in New Zealand children is far from effective. By international standards, our investment is low, and as a country, we're not backing our children. So New Zealand business needs to step up into a leadership role for our children. We get to the big question though, what could leadership from business look like? I could take the easy route here and say, well, it's up to business to come up with some clever solutions, but instead I'll have a go at this answer. I see business leadership at 3 levels. 1, supporting their employees to be good parents. 2, investing in the children in their local community. And 3, using the significant power of business to advocate for children at the national level. Businesses that do all or even one of these things benefit in the short and longer term. Being a business leader for those that work for you can reap rewards. Businesses should be asking themselves whether their working environment is child-friendly. Are the hours flexible enough for drop-offs? Are the conditions fair? They should not only consider the return on investment from workers' increased productivity, loyalty and motivations, but also in terms of how well they're able to parent their children as future workers and future consumers. At the community level, leadership could be provided in many ways from business. Leading for children could mean financially supporting key institutions that support children and bringing business skills to community ventures. And there are great models of community business partnerships in New Zealand. For example, the leaders of a wide range of businesses, including Deloitte's and Purana Valley, that back the Education Trust in Tamaki, do so because they know that the future of New Zealand depends on the educational achievement of those Māori and Pacific children. Providing each primary school child with a laptop and investing in their ability to use it is seen as investing in the future business productivity and for a better New Zealand. And then we get to business leadership at a national level. New Zealand business leaders are generally silent in the debates about children, and yet they have a powerful voice that could have a major impact on the quality and level of investment in our children. Internationally, business leaders get this. There are many examples, such as EPIC, executives partnering to invest in children in Colorado, and business consortiums that not only directly subsidise early childhood education, but also lobby government for quality expenditure on children. This lobby has a powerful impact on government decision making. How many New Zealand businesses submitted on the recent Green Paper for Vulnerable Children? It was about options to reform investment in children. How many business leaders are following what's happening in the welfare reform? What happens here will have a direct impact on their workforce. How much of an interest are business leaders taking in early childhood education reforms, school achievement strategies, youth employment strategies? All are key to current and future productivity. If we get it right for our children, businesses benefit now and in the future. So businesses of New Zealand, you should take notice. You need to step up. Be as innovative, interested and involved in children's interests as you are about your business interests. Take New Zealand children under your wing. Nothing is more important to our children, to the future of your business and the well-being of New Zealand. Thank you.